everyone. So today I'm going to be reacting to Arcane. So I actually already have watched season 1 once when it came out. I was just going to start reacting to season 2 and skip season 1 since I have already watched it. And I actually did film my reaction to season 2 episode 1 already. However, I did realize I do think I need a refresher, and you can thank whoever made that art that gave me the one spoiler I've so far been given, which I will talk about in the intro of the video for season 2 episode 1. This art and spoilers for season 2 episode 1 framed things like there was this betrayal that happened between Jace and Victor, and when I watched season 2 episode 1, something big happens in the first 5 minutes regarding those two characters. And I was thinking, I was like, is this the betrayal that the art referred to? Nah. And then I am watching season 2 with my family, and they wanted to rewatch the last episode of season 1 to refresh their memory before going on to season 2. I had completely forgotten that Victor told Jace to destroy and so it absolutely is a betrayal what he does in the beginning of season 2 episode 1 right then and there. And because I had completely forgotten something so important, it made me think, yeah, I think I need to rewatch season 1 and get a refresher. So we'll see how it goes and how much I have to say. So future Kaylee wasn't entirely satisfied with the intro, so I'm adding a little bit more on. To be clear, this is the first reaction series that I am ever recording. So please forgive any jankiness that might come up. This is just my first time. I am figuring things out, both in terms of the content and the technical aspects of all of this. One such source of jank that I feel like I should maybe talk about sooner rather than later is the fact that I know that my camera has lines over the screen whenever there's movement, but this is the best camera I have. The other camera that I have to work with is this one, the actual computer camera. And while, yeah, it doesn't have the lines, I think it's a lot lower quality and less focused. This one, I think, is the better one to go with, despite the lines. So I apologize for those things. They are going to be in the videos for at least all of Arcane. I hope it doesn't bother you too much. As I watch Arcane season 1 and 2, you're basically going to be seeing me learn how to do reaction content in real time. So I decided that I wanted to record everything, so I recorded all of season 1 and season 2, and then after that, start posting the videos. Because I'm just starting out, more than anything, I would really appreciate if I do something well, or there's something you want to see more of. I'd really love your encouragement. That would mean a lot to me. It is really going to encourage me to make more content like this. So I am, first and foremost, a writer. Writing is the main thing that I do. I love it. It's my life. And so you are going to hear me come at some things in my reactions from a writing standpoint. And if I recall correctly, there is no place where that comes up more than in the first episode. So I'm going to talk a lot about the world building and the character introductions and stuff like that.
Well, hello, Kitty. Do you want to be in the spotlight? You want to join the video? This is Bella, one of my cats. I have 2. You will see them in the videos. You're stinky. You're stinky.
So something that I don't think I introduced quite clearly enough, quite early enough. Oh, you can't even see her. She's still in my hands. Something I don't think I explained quite clearly enough, quite early enough, is that I have never played League of Legends. And not only that, there are a lot of video games out there that, even if I haven't played them, I have a working knowledge of them. Surprisingly, League of Legends is one that I know pretty much nothing about. All I know is that it is a online multiplayer game, and there are tournaments, and there are some awesome songs that resulted from the tournaments. I think I talk about the songs in a later episode, so I'll let past Kaylee talk about that. This show is my main involvement in the fandom. So you are getting the reactions of somebody who really has no idea where things are going. Now, granted, there are some exceptions to that, and I will absolutely talk about those when I get there, but generally, for the most part, I don't know who they are in the games or how the games even play or anything like that. At least for now, back to past Kaylee. Yeah, let's get started. Let's return. I am standing right now. When I filmed my reaction to season 2, I was sitting, but I was adjusting my chair so dang much that it kind of annoyed me. And so I was like, I want to try standing up. I don't know how long this is gonna last, but I'm gonna try it. I also might sway, because I kind of do that when I'm standing. I forgot this creepy lullaby at the beginning. This is so Jinx-like. The flashes like that of the creepy images are so like Jinx's kind of episodes. Oh, it is her singing. Wow. She's trying to keep herself sane. Maybe if I told her to do that. There's our boy. There's Vander. And she's leaving behind the life she knew, both the good and the bad, and turning to hate. So you'll see in my reaction to season 2, episode 1, but I love what Caitlin says about how easy it is to hate them.
I know. I just understand now how easy it is to hate them. One vicious act.
That's a theme throughout the show, and you can already see that in the first scene of episode 1, season 1, of the pain and the horror and her being rescued from it, but the hate lingering. And, ooh, I just thought of how, and again, spoilers for season 2, episode 1, it's really interesting that the first episode of season 1 starts with her learning to hate the enforcers. And season 2, episode 1 starts with her being an enforcer.
We're almost there.
Oh, it kind of makes me sick to see them now. Clagger and forget the other guy's name. He's so pretty.
Hi, kitty. Hi, Bo.
So this is neat because not only is this a cool shot of the city and them showing off how awesome their world is, almost feels like Link falling from the sky and then Tears of the Kingdom moment, but this actually has more depth to it because this is Piltover. This is the land of the Topsiders. This beautiful place that these characters and all of the characters in the underground don't tend to see. It's not just look, here's our cool world. Okay, moving on. It's showing this is a world that they are clawing their way to. This is a world that they're stealing from. This is a world that is just as majestic and beautiful to them as it is to us. Also, just from a writing standpoint, our first opener hits you real hard with this death and destruction and horror, but also with this hope and this beauty, and there's no sound throughout all of that. And then it switches to something brighter and it lets you have a moment to breathe, but that brighter thing is also full of action. Even the literal action itself of like Vi grabbing onto that pipe draws you into the scene and makes you wonder, what are we doing? What's our heist? What's up? And then this too, even just seeing such a pretty city surely makes you be like, I want to know about this city. I want to know about this world. Which unfortunately is really difficult to do in written word, because if you, in like the first chapter of your written word, spend 5 pages or even a page describing the beauty of the city, people might get bored. And I have mixed feelings on the saying, a picture's worth 1,000 words, but this does make a case for that idea of you can show something really intriguing visually, something that might bore people written in 1,000 words.
One day, I'm gonna shoot one of them down.
I think
We're not gonna get caught.
Jinx does both of those things, doesn't she? Milo, that's his name. Man, people on Topside really be leaving cupcakes out for the local cat burglars.
Thanks.
Something I really love about Jinx's animation is she is so fluid in her movements. She almost moves with the same smoothness of someone doing calligraphy. But here, as Powder, her movements are so clunky and unsure and stuff like that.
Vander's gonna kill us.
You
only if we screw up. So don't screw up.
He's not who kills you. So the first time I watched this, I was like, ooh, we got a mad scientist up in here. So if you don't know me, there are certain types of characters that I'm really a fan of. And the highest on that list is redeemable villains. I love when villains want to do what's good or are struggling to do what's good. And I love heroes that are corruptible, who aren't just goody good all the time, who struggle with what it means to do and be good. But there's another category of characters that I really like, which is mad scientists. And I don't know how exactly to explain why, other than that I think it's generally tends to be kind of a subset of one or both of those categories, because a mad scientist can be this villainous type character who's doing all these nefarious experiments or unethical experiments, but ultimately they're trying to do it for the betterment of mankind. Or on the other side, they are a good person who is falling into darkness. And so I love that idea that going too far into science and knowledge to the point where it breaks your mind. Usually I don't love loading screens in video games because they'll have tips that you very much already know. Thomas Sanders has an awesome short about this.
Player's tip, be on the lookout for blue gems. They're literally everywhere, and you have to use them to pay for literally anything. Yeah, I'm aware of that, as I've been playing this game for 16 hours.
But I do kind of like Don't Starves, or I guess it's Don't Starve Togethers, because it will sometimes have quotes from the characters, and I really like the quote, "Knowledge can consume the soul to feed the mind," or "consume the mind to feed the soul." It could be the reverse of that, but I always really like that quote, because that feels kind of like the essence of mad science, which Wilson is a mad scientist as well, and I really like Wilson as a character. So, because I love mad scientists, I like seeing all these inventions, seeing the chalkboard and all these things. I'm like, ooh, we got a mad scientist, I'm ready. Regardless on if you like mad scientists, this is a really cool world building thing, because telling us about a character by showing us the space that they live in first is a really cool writing device that is not seen that often. In Ursula K. Le Guin's Steering the Craft, she has a challenge that's all about that, to convey a character's personality and character through the setting that they live in and have them not actually show up in the story. And this is doing that to an extent, and I will reenact my reaction to who it is when we get there. But this is telling us about the character who lives here without us having met the character yet, which is really cool, because like they could have just been stealing, well, I guess knowing what Powder's going to steal, they couldn't have been stealing from just anybody. But if you just want to make a scene of like our not so main two of our main characters and two characters that will fake you out into thinking are main characters, here they are coming to steal from the topsiders. They could have just picked any old rich person's house, but picking this very specific house that has all these inventions and stuff is really interesting. Though granted, I forget if they say, now that I'm thinking about it, who did pick this place and why? Like I said, I still stand by the fact that I love that they're showing the character by the setting, but if you're picking somebody to steal from, the mad scientist is not who you steal from, because as we're about to see, you have no idea what the stuff does. Yeah, those might look like cool shiny things, but those cool shiny things might blow up or turn you into a toad or something. I've been watching a lot of NileRed's shorts, and it's amazing how he'll just be like, oh, I don't have a color printer, but I have this chemical that can color things in, and that's like one of the milder chemicals that he has.
So I needed a radiation sign, but I don't have a color printer. But thankfully I have fluorescein, which is a really strong yellow dye that's commonly used to make highlighters. This is my radiation cabinet, and here I have my uranium glass. I made it myself. Years ago, I was really excited when I bought this little ampule that had this little piece of metal inside. This is because this little piece of metal is actually pure uranium. The only sad part is that the majority of its radioactivity is being blocked by the glass ampule, and for a while now, I've been wanting to unleash it. I've also randomly decided that today is the day, so I'll just...
Yeah, you don't want to steal from a mad scientist. You don't know what radioactive stuff could be in his fridge.
Whoa, I think this is a real Valdiani.
Oh yeah? What about this?
That's the machine. That's at the end. That's it in the finale of season 1. She makes one of those. Wow. Yeah, I'm glad I'm rewatching.
That's a nose hair trimmer.
And this show is so good. The way that they're showing now Powder's character through this is also fantastic because they're showing she knows what these things are. Because easily, like, she's the youngest one. She could be the one who's like, what is this? And the older ones could be like, that's a nose hair trimmer. But the fact that they're like, ooh, shiny, dump, dump. And then she's the one who's like, this is a real, what did she say, Vivaldi? That's a composer.
I think this is a real Valdiani.
And then, like, that's a nose hair trimmer and stuff like that is showing, hey, she knows about inventions. And again, in a different way, but it's using the setting to convey the character, which is so cool. Like, this is such a great intro to the characters.
The bag with junk.
He was gonna use it. I love the fact that he didn't go, oh, it's a nose hair trimmer, so it's useless. He's like, it's a nose hair trimmer, so I shall use it to trim my nose hair. Yeah, so this is the unstable version. That's Echo, right? And she's also going after the side rooms. She's not just going to the main room and dumping stuff. She's trying to look for other stuff, maybe more rare stuff. I love the fact that she doesn't see uneaten sandwich. Person's coming back. She goes, uneaten sandwich. My sandwich. Soon to be eaten sandwich. Oh, I love how her eyes glowed for a second there. I just realized that. Her eyes are blue here. They're pinkish purple later. And I was thinking, I don't remember if we actually see that something happens to her eyes, and I just forgot. It is, I'm pretty dang certain this is what changes her eyes to pink. Yeah, I'm glad that I'm rewatching this, because if anything regarding this comes up in season 2, you'd all be like, Kaylee, you don't remember that whole sequence where Jinx almost died? Apparently not. I don't know how, but I didn't. Like, I was thinking as I was rewatching season finale of season 1, because when she smacks Caitlyn with the gun, her eyes glow pink and stuff, and I just thought it was kind of a cool visual effect, but there was nothing special about her eyes. But this makes me think that something did happen to her eyes. Maybe it's something to do with shimmer or something like that. Kaylee, you don't remember? It is interesting and sad how she's the one who's aware of these things, who knows what to take and what not to take, and yet the pretty thing that she just takes, I think just because it's pretty, is the most dangerous thing in there. The pacing of that is really good. Just the focus on this tiny thing that is rolling across, and you just feel energy ramping up, and that this tiny thing is gonna cause a big boom. Don't look down, they can see you. Why are we playing the Jaws theme? I love hate that they don't shy away from how gross that would be, because a lot of shows will have that as an escape route. So I like that they're being realistic, but also I hate to see it.
last time was the last time we were gonna do this.
Well, this time's the last time.
That's a neat way of like introducing the characters, their lives, the world as well, showing this isn't just a last-ditch effort. This is something they've done before and probably will do again.
I don't know. I didn't do anything.
That is really interesting how, granted, that look is making me think that this hypothesis isn't true. I was gonna say it's possible she genuinely isn't aware that it's one of the things that caused it. But if she does know that it is the things that she took, that she is already immediately going on the defensive of, I didn't do anything, she doesn't want to be blamed. She's already feeling condemned inside of herself and can't take those kinds of questions. Or she always gets blamed for these kinds of things, and that's created this in her.
Under the Enforcer's noses. So, if you're done beating yourselves up,
True.
let's get this home.
And this is showing how Vi is very scrappy and able to get out of a bind, and get in and out of a bind. But she's also has some optimism to her that she's able to go, hey, look, can we think about the good stuff? We just robbed a Piltover penthouse, so that's awesome. We accomplished our goal and got out alive. I think I am going to sit.
Hi, kitty.
I am gonna sit down.
Oh.
Well, now you can see the cat, but not the best angle for video watching. Okay.
Oh, kitty cat. Oh, kitty cat.
Hear that, Deckard? They don't want any trouble. You know, in my experience...
That's
trouble.
interesting. So he is the guy in the back. I think is the guy who Vi sees in season 2, episode 1, when the whole attack happens, that he's in the Enforcer uniform. And then I don't remember for sure. I don't know if he gets killed, but if he doesn't, oh no, he gets like shimmered, doesn't he? And then maybe he gets killed after that. Yeah, okay. And then this also is showing the minute that we get to, I forget exactly what it's called. I want to call it the Underground, but I think there are other names. That Piltover is so beautiful and wonderful, and then the minute that we get down into the Underground, even the passage is literally full of poop. And then you get here and it's grimy, it's dirty, and they barely take 10 steps down the street, and their stuff is about to get stolen from them. They're about to get beat up. Oh, the blood in his teeth is gross. Too realistic.
Want to see how that ends?
So when I was watching and reacting to the first episode, I didn't comment on this scene, and I was thinking, this is so cool and amazing, but I couldn't figure out what to say about it. But I felt like it would be remiss not to at least attempt to talk about what's so cool about it. So what Deckard here is trying to do is, of course, escalate the situation. They just got into a fist fight, and Vi and company won. And Deckard isn't really cool with that. He would like to win, and so he escalates to something a lot more lethal. I think in a lot of shows, if this happened, they would get into the fight and then win the second fight. They might run and avoid it. They might do some cool move to disarm the person. They might bring out their own knife and fight back. Or maybe they would bring out magic or a gun or something like that and escalate it further. I feel like most shows would do something different than what Vi does here, whether that be fighting, running, some combination, or something else. And this is so incredibly unique and interesting and beautiful that he pulls out the knife, he tries to escalate the situation, make it worse, make it more lethal, and Vi marches up to him and puts her face right by the knife and gives him the opportunity to do something horrible and or lethal to her right then and there, and says, you want to see how that ends. And so it's so cool because it shows this, like, either she's being extremely courageous because she could die or get seriously injured here, and she still has the courage to walk up to him and walk up to that knife blade, or she is so certain of herself that she is able to do this. But either way, there's so much power in this scene. Sure, you could have your heroes fight back and win a second time, and sure, that would show power as well. But there's so much more power in her standing up to the knife and to Deckard and asking this question that he is able to deduce from her doing this. Yeah, it's not going to end well for me. She's showing him, hey, you're not going to win. And then there's also this element of, yes, I will get into a fist fight with you. Yes, I will beat you up and give you a black eye, and you can do the same to me. I'm not killing you, and I'm not letting you kill me. Which I think is so cool and beautiful and noble. And I think it's also cool because it kind of informs what Deckard is about to do as well. That at the end of this episode, they show off sort of the shimmer for the first time, and Singed is like, you have a subject in mind? And Silka goes, someone just volunteered. And so we're seeing where this is gonna go just from this, because he tries to use lethal force, and Vi stands up to it and makes him realize, I'm not going to win this. And so he ends up going to the people, the place, and the means that will allow him to use lethal force and win. And he is willing to destroy himself, his body, and his dignity to win, to get there. Something that Vi is not willing to do. And I think there's also an element of, I think there's kind of this loyalty to the people in the undercity, right? And so it's like, hey, I'll beat you up, but I don't want one of our number to die. I'm not gonna let one of our people get killed for this. This is not a worthy cause to die for. Yeah, just having your main character walk right up to a knife point, put it right between her eyes and stare it down. It was one of the most amazing visuals and introductions to a character that I've possibly ever seen. So yeah, there's my attempt to analyze this scene. Back to past Kaylee. And then even that, she's inventive. And then there, she's clumsy. I love the combination of nature and technology in here, that you have like the plants and everything, and then of course there's the elevator, but the table and the lamp also are stained glass. So far, what we've seen of the underground, they very much care about functionality. They don't really have the means to have pretty things, but that single stained glass lamp shows that either somebody took the time to make something pretty, which is a really cool message, if so, that when you're in this terrible place, like you can't buy beautiful things, you have to make them, which I really like. Or it was something that's stolen, which sends its own message that the only beautiful things that they have are the things they had to steal. Even actually looking at it closely, the floor is like mosaic. So that couldn't be stolen, could it? That has to be something that somebody made. That's neat. Yeah, and then there's art on the back wall, which I assume is hers. It powders. Completely forgot that's where the name came from. So, are all the episodes named after a song that plays in the episode, or vice versa? Do certain songs play in the episodes because the name of the song is the name of the episode? I did not notice that at all the first time I watched it. And granted, it's possible that this was before I started watching everything with subtitles, and seeing the name of the song certainly helps. But it is something I noticed in season 2, episode 1, and this is what you asked for, heavy is the crown, in the finale of season 1, and then I am the monster you created, and then this episode. And this is like, this does have its own beauty, especially for a viewer. Like, it's dark and kind of this sickly green and stuff like that, but it's still also really cool and draws you in as a viewer. There's this element of like everything is kind of on top of each other in the underground, that up above, yeah, okay, maybe there's some of that still there, but it's in a different way. And then, of course, more world building. They're showing the prostitutes, the beer, the drinking.
I suppose it does.
Who's this little weasel? I don't remember him.
I think you should take it.
No.
I'm gonna beat you up if you don't.
Don't threaten the guy who pours the drinks.
And this is of course a great way to show Vander's character as well. That at first he seems like this kind barman, which he is, and it seems like he's just gonna walk away. And then we see another layer to the shadiness of the underground, that okay, we have these dealings where people don't always honor their word or their price. And then we have Vander coming up, and at first, seeming like he's just a nice barman asking what's up, and then he himself is escalating the situation even further by pulling up this chair. And then when they threaten him, the entire bar turning to them, that it shows that, hey, this guy means something. People would care if he died. People care if you threaten him. And then of course they say he is somebody. He's the Hound of the Underground. So very cool. Especially cool in the fact that he's trying to de-escalate the conflict, so his goal tells us something.
This is vile.
You'll learn to love it.
Which feels like the summary of the Underground.
Vander learns none of this.
No worries there. Powder took care of the evidence.
I tried, okay? You don't get it. You're older, you're bigger.
I don't remember what's wrong with the river. I think, if I remember correctly, the river is what infected, I think it's this one, Silco's eye. But I don't know for sure. And I do remember that when I first watched this, I was like, it's just in the river. Just go get it. Just jump in and go get it. It's in a bag in the river. Maybe it'll be hard to pull up, but especially if there's a lot of you and an inventor, surely you can get it out of the river. Actually, come to think of it, maybe with the river being like poisonous, maybe Powder could create like a police system to get it out.
Those kids look up to you.
Yeah,
She's also a kid. It's really interesting. I just said she's a kid too. But that also speaks to Vander's character, that kids don't like to be called kids. And so he's treating Vi like an adult. Even though I think some of them are the same age as her, saying those kids look up to you. Like she herself is not a kid is really interesting.
That path, it's not going to solve your problems. It just makes more of them.
Wow, that's wild. Because she's still doing it. Way into the future, she's still using the Hex Tech gauntlets. She's still using her fists to try to solve her problems.
You want to be treated like adults, right? I think you should know better than to come back from a job empty-handed.
That is really interesting how he says to Vi, good, you lost the stuff, nothing can tie you. But to them, he says, you shouldn't lose all the stuff. He's able to tailor his advice to the different people.
Powder's my problem, okay? Your problem is never knowing when to shut up. But I'm gonna help you with that. Ready? You see this look on my face? This will always mean it's time to shut up. But
You always have that look on your face. Yeah, 'cause it's always time to shut up. Why does it look like there are Cheerios in that chest? There's stained glass on the doors, too.
Give me a few seconds. The cannon pinion's still busted.
Huh, that's interesting that it does show that he's pretty inventive immediately, too. Why does that look like an evil sorting hat back there? I'm sure it's some actual item in League of Legends. I just don't know what it is. That is pretty cool that he just says, hey, little man, just in passing. And that it seems like this is the informant and this is the important stuff. But he says it right there as he goes out the door. The masks are pretty cool too, because they make them so much creepier and less human seeming, but they also kind of, all the people of the underground here are just walking around and stuff like that. And the enforcers are like, literally, I wouldn't dare to breathe the same air as you. That's really interesting how in season 1, episode 1, Vander is given this choice. Give up Vi and the others. Give up his daughter for the sake of the greater good. And then Silco, in the finale of season 1, is asked to make that same choice. Give up his daughter for the greater good. And neither of them make that choice. Does that really help?
We've all had bad days. But we learn.
So good.
Are they?
I don't know.
Let's keep this our little secret. Milo's wrong, Powder. You're stronger than you think.
She certainly is.
And one day, this city's gonna respect us.
And then here's the mirror of the beginning shot. We have this nighttime shot. And I think that's still, they're still both, if I'm correct. I don't think this is just the underground. I think this is both topside and the underground. But now it's at night and we've seen the seedy underbelly now, and it's not nearly as beautiful, but it still is in some ways. So, I was confused by what I meant there. So if I was confused, you guys are probably quite confused. So I think what I was trying to say there is that when you first see topside Piltover, you see this lustrous, beautiful city. And you think, wow, this is great, this is amazing, everybody has it made here. And then you see the underground, and granted, like, the next episode is when we see Jace and Mel and Victor and Heimerdinger and the people of Piltover and how they live. But even so, even just seeing the underground, seeing the enforcers, shows us, there's a bit of a seedy underbelly to Piltover. It's not just the literal seedy underbelly that is the Undercity. It is the seedy underbelly of topside, that there is a darkness to what's going on in Piltover and what it is. And so the first episode ends going, maybe it's not as beautiful as I thought at the beginning, but at the same time there is still beauty there, and there is still this I want to go there, this unattainability to it as well. I'm surprised that I didn't note that the episode starts with us seeing topside, the lustrous beautifulness that is Piltover. And then in the middle of the episode, we see the shady stankness that is the Undercity. And then the episode ends with us looking at both, where we can see both topside in the distance and the Undercity a bit closer to us. And it's at night, and so it's not quite the shady stankness that is the underground, but it's also not the beautiful lustrousness that was Piltover at the beginning of the episode. It's kind of a mix of both, and that's kind of sort of what the goal is, that we want to create harmony. We want to create a place that is both, right? And so I think that's pretty cool. There's a pretty cool framework to the first episode. That looks like the shark missile thing that Jinx shoots off in the finale of season 1. I don't know how intentional that was, but that's amazing if so. I forgot Silco had this layer first.
Risk I'm willing to take.
That's cool. You see a shot of okay, I'll put it off this, that's gross. So you see the shot of like the eye thing, and you could probably guess that it's for an eye. And you think it's like a torture device, that it's like, are they gonna take his eye? And then he uses it on himself. Even that little thing feels like a description of Silco's character, that like he has, in a lot of ways, he is evil, he is capable of genuine, horrifying, brutal things, but also at the end of the day he turns it on himself. And that's a cool shot of just his eye glowing. He does look like my cat is under the table, and she looked up at me right then when that cat meowed on the show. That's wild. Oh, I did realize that there is an element, like I said, I'm pretty dang sure the first time I watched it that my main reaction is, it's just in the river, go get it! But at the same time, it does set up, what the heck is wrong with that river? That there's not even a thought of attempting to get it.
Feeding time.
Oh boy. The rat eats the cat, right? I'm someone who loves cats. I hate to see a cat get killed. Even a cat as ugly as that one, still it's like, don't love that. But even though I don't love that, just on a personal standpoint, it's a really well done scene to show the effects of shimmer, that it is completely reversing the natural order, that the rat that should be killed by the cat, the opposite happens. The rat kills the cat. And that's exactly what they want to do, right? They're the rats in the underground, and they want to kill the cats on topside. So, very well done. Oh, that's it. That's the end. Okay. They do such a great job of introducing us to the characters, to the world. Right there, first episode, we already understand this show is a lot about the power imbalance between the underground and the upper ground. And we already get to hear about Vi and her relationship with Powder, and we see how Vander really cares for them and everything like that. So, and it's really interesting because it's usually not advised to start with a flashback. And so I really applaud them for being able to do that and do it well. And hoo boy, is it gonna be difficult when we get to the episodes where we get to the end of the flashback. But yeah, so if you liked this video, I'd really appreciate if you liked it, if you commented, if you subscribed, if you hit the bell, all those things. I'm just starting out, and so I appreciate all the help and love that you can give. You can also go over to my other channels. I actually do have a writing channel. A Moth in the Archive on both Twitch and YouTube is where I host my writing group every week. We have a prompt that we write microfiction for, and I will read some of the stories live on Twitch on Saturday. A Moth in the Library is my channel for books and classical literature, and A Moth in the Arcade is my channel for gaming. So please check those out if you are interested in more content from me. But yes, I hope that you have a great day. See you. Which is awesome, and I do try to make some jokes. I'm learning to be funny. Cat has distracted me. What was the next topic to discuss? What was it, Stinky Baby?